Hey everybody, I'm Logan Alec. I'm a CPA. Today I'm answering a question from Camelot 511 about CSEDs. Now, if you don't know what a CSED is, listen up. CSED stands for Collection Statute Expiration Date. That is the last date on which the IRS can collect a given tax from a taxpayer. After that date, the IRS cannot collect that tax anymore. In fact, the tax is generally written off from the taxpayer's official IRS account. The CSED date is generally 10 years from the date that a tax is assessed. Now, this 10-year period can be extended for certain tolling events. If you've seen my video on the IRS statute limitations, you know what I'm talking about. Link to that video at the top of the screen. All right, so now that we've covered the basics on what a CSED is, let's get into Camelot 511's question, which is, where can I find the CSED on my IRS transcript? Well, Camelot, let's mosey on over here to a sample accounts transcript. And kind of the bad news, Camelot, is that it won't always be apparent from the accounts transcript. But here's a redacted account transcript from one of our clients who filed their 2018 return. They filed it in March 2019. And there was an assessed balance of $43.79. Looks like there was some withholding on it, and in excess of the balance per the return, they got some money back. But then look, there's this additional tax assessed here, right here. See that additional tax assessed on April 22nd, 2019. Okay. And then you see this date underneath that additional tax assessed for April 22nd, 2029, which is 10 years after April 22nd, 2019, right? So that's telling you that at least initially, the CSED for this additional tax assessment of $267 is April 22nd, 2029. Now, let me tell you something. I don't know if you've seen that video online. Anyway, a couple things. One, that date won't always show up under every single assessment of tax. It won't always be there. Number two is that date might be wrong for a number of reasons. For example, that date may not take into account any tolling events that have happened since the tax was assessed, right? For example, okay, you file an offer in compromise. The IRS's 10-year time limit, the collection statute, is extended during the pendency of that offer in compromise, plus 30 days, right? You'll file an offer in compromise. From that date until the date that the IRS makes a decision on your offer, and then plus 30 days after that, that 10-year time limit is extended. That may not be reflected here on this transcript. Another thing you need to keep in mind is that sometimes the IRS's internal CSED calculations are wrong. So this is a TIGTA report that came out not too long ago. I mean, it's not, in the past year or anything, but it's not too old. And check out what TIGTA, which is the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, found. Check out this paragraph. TIGTA reviewed a statistically valid stratified sample of 106 cases, and they identified incorrect CSED posting errors, right? In a certain percent. Why is it redacted? Oh, man. Anyway, it's redacted now. I looked at this report when it came out. I think it was at least 20%. Something like at least 20% of this sample, TIGTA looked at the case, the file in detail, and said that, hey, your CSED is incorrect. I think this originally said 20%. They've redacted it now, right, of these 106 sample taxpayer cases. Obviously, 106 isn't a huge sample size. They claim that it's a statistically valid stratified sample, right? So, I guess what I'm saying is, by the Treasury Department's own admission, sometimes the IRS gets the CSED calculations wrong. That's why when we do our cases, we have a kind of an independent calculation of the CSED for our clients' tax debts. And sometimes this is a sticking point with the IRS when we're negotiating on behalf of our clients. For example, let's say a client doesn't qualify for an offer in compromise, right? Because they have too much equity in their home or something like this. But we're trying to get them into an installment agreement with the IRS that works for them. Let's say the IRS is saying they need to pay us $2,000 a month, okay, because this tax debt is going to drop off in only 2 years, right? So we got to collect all we can. We've had it where we got to counter back and say, hey, our client, there's no way in heck our client can afford $2,000 a month. How about $200 a month, right? Or something like this. And we're basing our argument on the fact that, no, this tax here actually has 2 CSEDs, and yes, that can happen, right? Let's say you file a return, and you show you a $10,000 on that return. But then let's say you get it audited. Let's say you lose the audit. And there's an additional $40,000 of tax on that return. Let's say that tax doesn't get assessed, for 4 years, or let's say 3 years after that initial date that you filed your tax return, right? Because there's an assessment statute expiration date too, which is generally 3 years. So, you may have 2 CSEDs, right? One for that initial $10,000, 10 years for the date that tax was assessed, and then an additional CSED for 10 years from that new assessment of additional tax due to the audit. See what I'm saying? And in this particular case I'm referencing, the IRS person who we're negotiating with, they thought that the entire tax debt had a CSED of that original tax debt. They weren't appreciating the fact that the majority of the tax debt actually had a later CSED, in which case it would likely have been more open to lowering that installment agreement amount from $2,000 a month. Okay. So, back to Camelot's question, yeah, sometimes you can see some date that is, I suppose, the original CSED date for a given assessment tax on your IRS account transcript, and it doesn't always show up, right, as we saw in that account transcript. But even then, take it with a grain of salt, right? Just like with anything the IRS tells you, take it with a grain of salt. All right, folks, Camelot, other loyal viewers, thank you for watching. Please leave your comments in the description. I love answering these questions. If you have tax debt of $10,000 or more, you qualify for a free consultation with us here at Choice Tax Relief. Give us a call, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829. Or fill out the form on our website, choicetaxrelief.com, and we will reach out to you. I also have some other tax relief videos here appearing on the left-hand side of the screen for your education and enjoyment. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.